Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're looking at the SPY, the IWM, the Qs, the DIA, the IYT, the USO, and the GLD, and the UUP. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly time frame. We use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. So let's jump right into the SPY daily action. And today we're up $1.33 on the day, or 0.63%. Not too bad of a showing. You know, we had 76 million with after hour action as well. On the day, I think we had right around 70 million. And just not, just not an eventful day. We had some stocks that were moving, like Netflix, and Google was a high flyer that pulled back a little bit after hours, and Amazon did. And a couple other ones too as well came in at the end of the day, the SPY included. But if you look at the daily or the intraday action, pretty much just a float fest, light volume. You can see in here, nice push up, pull it back, come down, then a little fade at the end of the day, and we closed at the lows. Intel after the bell, so we came down a little bit after hours, but nothing crazy. You know, it's Intel, but what does that actually mean? So right now, we crossed this trend line here. This was a big trend line. We got below it. It's chopping around now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, consolidating underneath the moving averages, which are the 50 and the 20. And we're in another inside bar, just going sideways, just holding this thing up. We did come down to this lower end, to 1233, but we also came down to this pivot and to the 382 retrace, and we're taking the retrace this time from the bigger areas, from this low pivot to this high pivot. So we're into the 382, and we're into this trend line too, which actually there wasn't, but we were also into this low pivot over here, and ultimately this gap fill, this pivot, which it almost did make. So we're drawing this trend line from here to here, connecting the lows. That's going to be an area of support as well. So right now we're just going to see if we chop around during options X, and let's see what this pattern will lead us to on Friday. Looking at the weekly pretty much the same thing. We had an inside bar, came in, now we have another inside bar. We're below the 20 MA still in the 250 retrace. Let's see if we actually 750 going up on this one. Let's see if we can get above this area, get above this breakdown bar, and we can continue higher. If we stay in a bearish stance, inside bar, I'm expecting lower prices to come in the next week or two, maybe a little bit further, but we'll be watching this market closely. It is getting into a range here, up and down, and in my opinion, it's setting up to move lower. So watch out for that. IWM, same thing. We are 69 cents up, or 0.57 up on the day, percent up on the day. Again, inside bar, never closed it above, came right in. We closed below this low, so that's telling me we have an engulfing candle. We filled the gap. Now we're just hovering over the 50 MA on the IWM. And let's see if we continue sideways in a bearish manner, setting up to go lower. If you want this to go higher, it needs to get above these highs, and this pivot high here, right around 125.86 or 125.88, which is the all-time or 52-week high on this one. And we'll see how this thing sets up on Friday. This is the weekly close, so we'll take that. Let's look at the daily real quick. Daily, same thing. We tried to, they tried to launch this thing up. We filled the gap, got above this high, never did. Reverse bearish pattern, micro bearish, came in below the MAs, chopping around. Same thing. We're into this big support area, and we're also into this trend line that comes down from here. We're holding on to that. So if this continues sideways, these are going to curl down into price, and that should send this thing lower. Again, the IWM's been lagging, so you have to keep an eye on that. It's still not at the all-time highs. And then we had, what, 8 months up, and now we're reversing. We'll see what the monthly close is on this. If this engulfs this this candlestick or the wick here, that tells me we have lower prices to come. If you're bullish on this one, it needs to get above this high pivot, right around the 129.13 or so, and then continue on its merry way. But until then, I still believe it's going down. The Qs. Q, same thing. This one had 0.89% up, or $1.04, moving up on the day. Not a bad showing. We had Netflix up like we talked about in the morning. But again, we popped up right into the 20 moving average and into the 750 retrace. That was rejected, and it came right back in. So right now we're in an inside bar pattern, but when we closed to hit through yesterday, Monday, when we closed down there, that's telling me we have weaker prices, And let's see if we get more consolidation sideways to set up for lower prices. If you're bullish, you need to get above the all-time high, which is 119.48, and continue with some volume and some conviction. If we don't get that, I still believe this one is heading down as well. Let's look at the weekly chart. Not too much, you know. We're going to know more at the end of the week. I'd love to see it close below this wick down in here around 115.93, but right now inside bar bearish. But you know, overall it's a macro bull and a micro bear, because now we're starting to consolidate in this inside bar. So we'll see how that works out at the end of this week. And it had a nice reversal, engulfed this candle, kind of popped up. I would have liked to seen a wedge going into this and then the pop. So this might have been too early to move up. So we're going to keep an eye on this, wait for pattern, and then we'll trade it accordingly. Let's go into the DIA. DIA, this was up 65 cents or 0.36%. This had a kind of a weak showing. It was still green. I think we're still about 74 up on the day, but same pattern as the SPY for the most part. Chopping around, came back in, never closed below this low pivot, got it above, but we're still below the MAs, setting up in another inside bar pattern. So this is just a big bearish pattern, in my opinion, setting up for lower prices. We are in options X, like I said. We do have light volume, so anything's possible in these markets. There's going to be stocks going up and down on this light volume, doing whatever they need to do, and that's how this stuff usually works. When you got the light volume, they can control, they as the Federal Reserve, big institutions, hedge funds, they could kind of control which way stocks go. Market makers too don't mess around either. So just be careful in these markets. But overall, weekly bearish pattern inside bar, setting up for lower prices. We are going on 6 weeks sideways. We get 7, 8, 9 weeks sideways. Expect lower prices. If this pattern does fail, then we'll probably attempt to go over the highs, which is 186.88. If we get above that, then we're probably going for 190, a couple bucks higher, maybe even 200 possibly. But we got to get through this bearish pattern, close above this high right here. We do that, which is 185.36 or so, then it could possibly go up. But until then, I still think this one can go lower. I'm more in a bearish stance, guys, you know, just to be honest with you. So with the SPY and everything, if you're watching my live streams and watching my videos, you know what I'm talking about. You know, same thing here. You have the IYT trying to break out above this area, can't do it, and it's just kind of stirred up and lower. We got below the 20 MA, we're closing there, we're at the 382 retrace, and look at this thing, just weak. It's like, help me, come on now. And then maybe catch a bid down here. Let's look at the weekly pattern. Remember, every time we get to the 8,000 mark on the Dow Jones Transports, that's it. It's always lights out. It's been lights out here, lights out here, lights out there, and just every time it gets over, it can't confirm and right back down. So we'll be watching this on the weekly close. If we could get below this tail of last week, that's telling me we're a little bit more bearish, because look at this. This was great consolidation in a bullish manner, and it still can't go. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 weeks of consolidation. This thing should be ripping right now. And again, it's another lagging indicator. Should be at the highs. This should be leading the way right now. If everything was that good, the transport should be leading, and they're not. They're causing tails here. The bears are coming out. They're pushing it back, push it back, push it back. I'm expecting lower prices, and this cracks. We're going downtown. Let me tell you, the SPY starts dumping. Look out, guys. And I'm going to keep telling you that, and then eventually we're going to run into it, and it's just going to fall apart, and everyone's going to be like, "What happened?" Yeah, what happened? The SPY's way overextended. So USO chopping around again, inside bar, micro bear pattern. You got a macro bull, but the bear pattern's playing out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 days sideways. I'm looking for, you know, maybe another week of sideways, and then I'm expecting lower prices. If you're a bull on oil, you need to get above this high pivot of 11.77, and I believe $12 is the next area of resistance right in here, 11.99. Then you have a gap filled and the double top up here in 12.46 if this thing starts to roll up. So I'm expecting, you know, on the USO to go down, and the reason why, let's look at the UUP real quick, because the UUP is setting up to go up. You know, you have that micro bear on the USO, but then you have a bullish pattern on the dollar here. Dollar's going to move up, I'm telling you, 26 or 25.59. And then I think we're going into that upper trend line up in there. Let's pull that back. We have an upper trend line right around 25.67. I think it can overshoot, fill this gap around 25.87, or even possibly get up into the 26 area. Until it gets up there, or if it does, oil should come back and that dollar gets up into the 26 something area, then we'll be thinking about taking oil long again and shorting the dollar. But until then, it's setting up to go higher, the dollar. Higher dollar, lower gold, lower oil, hypothetically. Lately, it's been a little disconnected, so it's really been hard to figure this out. But we're going to go with this. On a weekly close, we closed above this pivot. We closed above the 618. Let's see if we can close above this high and continue to go on the UUP. Then, I believe the USO can come down a little bit more. Not a little bit. I think we can get a nice push down on this one. So again, we talked about the USO. I know we're jumping around, but we're into this pivot. It tried getting above it, never confirmed. We're starting to go in a bullish manner here on the weekly, but let's see what it does on the close. Let's see what the dollar does as well. But right now, technically, we're above the moving averages, so it's a little bit on the stronger side, but we are running into big resistance up there as well, so this could possibly pull back. You need to stay above the moving averages for this one to continue higher. If the dollar starts ripping, I think this thing can definitely come in a little bit more. Let's get right into the GLD. GLD, same thing, daily chart setting up in a bearish manner. We are still below the 200 moving average. I'm still liking this pattern, guys, and this 20 MA starts curling down. That's going to send this thing right back to gap fill right around the 115 area. Then I still believe it's going to fill this gap right here, 112.40. Maybe, if we get lucky enough, it comes into here around 110 or so. Gosh, that's the next gap. I mean, there's a couple more gaps, but we'll play it as it comes. But this is definitely setting up to go lower. If it does, great. If the markets start getting crazy, this could catch a bid because everyone will be going in for a safe haven trade. And a lot of the bulls were up here holding, and they were kind of shaking them out here. I'd expect one more shakedown, maybe, until this one goes up. And if it goes up, it's going to go up without us. At least without me. I'm not taking a chance. I'd rather wait for a little bit lower prices and start adding, and then take it from there. Weekly chart. Weekly on gold, you got this nice sell bar. And that sell bar is telling me lower prices. Usually you have a sell bar like this into support. It will consolidate for a couple of weeks and then head down. The daily chart's telling me more downside. If this one consolidates for another couple of weeks, then we could definitely get some downside. The 20 MA will start curling in. The 200 will start curling down in the price. And, you know, honestly, I think we could go to 107, 108, 110 even number into that area if this pattern plays out. But, you know, each and every day gives us a new piece of the puzzle. All right, guys, that's it for these guys. Thanks again for coming, watching my video, taking the time out of your day. I really, really appreciate it. I hope I'm helping some people out there with some trades. We had a couple good ones in our live sessions in the last week or so. We're trying to do more of them. Come noon o'clock in New York time, 12 o'clock Eastern. We're trying to do some live sessions. So come on, subscribe on YouTube. Come join the fun. Bring a symbol. Let's take a look at some stocks and try to make money. We did take DPZ short today, and that was a good player. We'll show that one in the next video that I'm going to make tonight as well. All right, guys. Thanks again for watching. God bless. See you on the charts.